Dear friends, welcome to another episode of The Edge of Power, the world's most specialized channel on geopolitics. In this video, we will discuss Donald Trump's first commercial and tariff confrontation with the world. With the American president winning the standoff he held for a few hours against Colombian President Gustavo Petro, what does this reveal about how the United States will interact with the rest of the world in the next 4 years? This Sunday, January 26th, President Donald Trump surprised the world by threatening Colombia with 25% trade tariffs. This decision was motivated by the Colombian government's refusal to allow 2 U.S. military aircraft carrying approximately 160 deported migrants to land in the country. The tension quickly escalated with a series of sharp statements between Trump and Colombian President Gustavo Petro. Let's break down step by step how this situation unfolded. The 2 military aircraft, Model C-17, departed from San Diego and had diplomatic clearance to land in Colombia. However, during the flight, with the aircraft already in the air, Petro revoked this permission, arguing that the deportees, most of whom were convicted criminals in the United States, were being treated as such, many of them handcuffed. He even stated on social media that he would not allow Colombian citizens to be treated in a degrading manner. The measure was a direct response to the mass deportation policies promised by Trump during his campaign. However, it is important to highlight that this deportation flight had been scheduled before Trump took office. In other words, it was Joe Biden, not Donald Trump, who ordered the deportation of these Colombians. Trump responded decisively by imposing 25% tariffs on Colombian products and threatening to double these tariffs to 50% within a week. He also implemented immediate visa sanctions against Colombian government officials. Furthermore, he accused Colombia of breaching legal obligations by refusing to take back its citizens, which in fact is true, given that the Colombian government had signed specific extradition and deportation agreements with the United States. For Trump, this move was part of a broader strategy to show that his administration would not tolerate resistance from other countries regarding U.S. immigration policy. To justify the tariffs on Colombian products, Trump invoked the International Emergency Economic Powers Act, IEPA, a law that allows him to impose sanctions during economic emergencies. This aggressive approach directly reflects the tone adopted by Trump in his second term. While Trump intensified his stance, Gustavo Petro maintained a defiant rhetoric, using social media to harshly criticize U.S. actions, calling them an attempt at domination reminiscent of colonial times. One of Gustavo Petro's most controversial statements was when he claimed that Trump does not like freedom, adding that he does not shake hands with white slave masters. However, despite his firm and defiant stance, Petro did not shy away from seeking a negotiated solution. Faced with the threat of sanctions against government officials and primarily the 25% surcharge on Colombian products, his government initiated talks with Washington to establish conditions for the deportees, including the use of commercial aircraft and guarantees that the migrants would not be treated as criminals. The trade relationship between the United States and Colombia is robust and cannot be overlooked. In 2023, the United States imported $16.1 billion worth of Colombian goods, notably petroleum, coffee, bananas, and roses. At the same time, Colombia heavily depends on the U.S. market, which accounts for 28% of its exports. This economic interdependence makes any escalation of tensions a significant risk for both parties. However, the imposition of tariffs could have devastating effects on Colombia's economy, which is already facing severe internal challenges. Petro understood that a prolonged confrontation with Washington could harm key sectors such as agribusiness and mining. The resolution of this crisis was marked by a negotiated solution. Colombia accepted all conditions imposed by Trump, allowing the deportees to be transported even on military aircraft. However, visa sanctions will remain in place until the first group of Colombian migrants is accepted without incidents. This brought to light a latent tension between leftist governments in Latin America and the Trump administration. Other left-leaning countries, such as Brazil, also expressed dissatisfaction with U.S. practices, with the Itamaraty recently protesting against the treatment of deported Brazilians, accusing Washington of acting inhumanely. This case goes beyond a bilateral conflict, representing a clash of values and governance styles. On one side, Trump's hardline, pragmatic approach. On the other, Gustavo Petro's populist, anti-imperialist, and leftist rhetoric. Based on what happened between the United States and Colombia, we can expect the Trump administration to intensify its use of trade measures and tariffs as tools of diplomatic pressure. This incident clearly demonstrates the administration's willingness to use the economy as a coercive tool aligned with its domestic political objectives. For Washington, this approach is an attempt to reaffirm its position of global leadership in a context of growing multipolarity. However, it also carries serious risks. If other countries or blocs begin to retaliate consistently, the United States may face coordinated resistance that complicates the implementation of its agenda. On the other hand, Trump appears willing to risk bilateral relations to project political strength and fulfill campaign promises. This means that the coming years are likely to be marked by constant trade tensions, especially with countries that directly challenge American interests. For Latin America, this policy suggests a challenging future, where diplomatic negotiation will need to be conducted with great skill. The case of Colombia is a clear example of how economic vulnerability can be exploited, but also how diplomatic resistance has its limits when confronted with intense pressure. In the trade and tariff war that Trump has promised against any nation that challenges the United States, the first round was won by the American president. And if this video was informative for you, don't forget to like it so YouTube will recommend my videos daily. Also, check if you're already subscribed to ensure you receive notifications whenever I post a new video.